All right, welcome to episode 50 of the At Bat Podcast presented by War Media, where we give you our thoughts on the latest Chicago baseball news, as well as take a trip around the league. I am Saul Rodriguez, and for the 50th time, like we said, it's Miles Porter. How we doing, Miles?
Man, feeling good, bro. Feeling good. This is it's pretty cool that we're on episode 50, man.
Yeah,
We've been what? It was this last year you reached out to me. Our professor reached out to me, letting me know that you're
yeah,
interested in 50 episode later, man. That's lit. That's really lit. That's cool.
bro.
That's
We went
that's
we
awesome.
we went from being in the classroom, being partners, talking politics, talking everything sports and everything in that class
Yeah.
to doing 50 episodes. And I told it's like we were talking about it. I was talking about it with Kyle, boss man for War Media. He was because we're getting some stuff cooking with some other guys, starting some other shows, and we'll unveil them as they come out. But we talked about it because the guys that we talked to, they've have like hundreds of episodes. So it's like, dude, consistency is key in this thing. And is like, as long as you keep doing it, keep at it. It's all about the reps, especially where we're at right now. It's like we know ultimately like we don't get like thousands of views and stuff like that. But hey, we're getting our reps in, and you never know what one episode's gonna catch on or what clip is gonna catch on. As
Yeah.
long as you're consistent and get this thing going. That's what
Yeah.
it's all about, man. But
Yeah.
speaking of consistency, we're talking an MVP. So Miles, how was your weekend with the Milwaukee
Whew.
Jaguars?
It's quite the transition you had there, man. No, man. Some good baseball. Some good baseball this past week. Um, Man, we got some hitters on our team, man. And for me this year, kind of being in a more uh, leadership role, I'm just trying to get on base for guys behind me to drive me in. So whether that's a single or a double or a triple, because I'm fast, obviously, I'm still in basic. Okay, I'm fast.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my whole thing. I told my girlfriend I'm fast. No, it's cool. It's really cool, kind of seeing how this team has come together over the past few years, and we're playing in the Rock League and the Wisconsin State League, very competitive baseball leagues, and to kind of see us come together, see this thing form over the years the way it is, it's been great. It's been great. I had a great weekend of baseball. The boys will be playing this weekend as well. I'll be out of town in Atlanta, but just great ball overall. And we're not in June yet, and this is the last weekend that I miss, obviously.
Hmm.
But this is just it's been good. I'm very happy with where this team is heading, and we're just taking it one game at a time, man. It's a long season. It's a very long season. So it's not an MLB season, but it's a long season. So one
Oh
one
yeah.
game at a time. But I like where we're headed.
And you said you're going to Atlanta. You catching a Braves game down there?
Braves Phillies on Friday, baby.
Let's go. Hey, I'm telling you, at bat, we're everywhere, bro. I was in many, a couple weeks ago. We got Miles in Atlanta this weekend. I'll be in Detroit catching that White Sox, Tigers Friday, Saturday. We out here.
We just got to check in, man. This is why we do this. This is why.
Exactly, bro. We get baseball no matter where it is. I'm telling you, even if I went to like anywhere, bro, Cambodia, like I would find the baseball leagues. Like I'm trying to
Yeah.
watch a game anywhere I go, any sporting event, no matter where I go in the world is what I want to see. Like it's
I
the
was at
best
the
part.
Sox game. I was at the Sox game this past Friday.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, how was that one? What happened in that game? How did they do in that
It
one?
was Sox Royals. Kopech pitched his butt off. Pitched his
Oh, of
butt off.
course, just like today,
Untouchable.
just
Yeah,
like today.
untouchable. They, they,
Yeah,
they had no chance against them. It was great.
and
The
White Sox
Sox
are
are
getting
turning it around.
yeah, White Sox are getting hot. But we'll
Yeah.
we'll leave that we'll leave that for a second. We'll start on the north side. Then
Yeah.
we'll go to the red hot White Sox. But the Cubs, they've been cold, but I would say still continued, still kind of climbing up a little bit. I mean, they gotta win as we recording this on Wednesday. They gotta win against the Mets in the series opener. But it's just rough out here for the Cubs, losing 7 out of 10. Their road trip was just even worse. It was not good at all. I mean, they got swept by the Astros, lost 2 out of 3 against the Phillies, and of course, lost 2 out of 3 against the Twins. So getting 2 wins in that was rough. But on the bright side, there is a lot of positive continuing. I mean, we talked about Morel last week. We talked about Seiya Suzuki, and it's just the same, man. This week, Morel's annihilating the ball still, 5 homers in 5 straight. The
Yeah.
last Cub to do that was Sammy Sosa, so
Yeah.
that's insane. He's got a 1383 OPS right now with 9 homers and a 258 OPS plus. So he's just doing his thing, man. I mean, in your opinion, as a hitter, when you look at a guy like Christopher Morel, what do you think? What do you think is so on with that guy? Like what do you see in his? Is it just really how hard he swings? Because I think a lot of people have talked about it, right? It's just he swings so hard, and like what do you see in his mechanics that like has gotten him off to this hot streak, or even a little bit from last year? Because last year he played solid ball.
Yeah, if you notice this year, his hands are a little bit lower. And so what a lot of what I'm noticing is one hitter to another, with his hands kind of more right here, he's kind of swaying it right here more. He's quicker to the ball. And not to say that he wasn't as quick with his hands up here.
Mm-hmm.
What some hitters like to do is when your hands are already kind of in your chest area, all you're doing is kind of just going right at it. And mixed with the great swing that he has, his swing is just staying through the zone no matter what. And so he's just catching barrel. That's a very big change that I've seen with him this year, is that his bat is just staying through the zone longer. And a lot of coaches are preaching to some guys, just drop your hands, stay closer to the strike zone, and just go right at the ball. And that's what I've noticed with him. Having very good pitch selection. That's the big mechanical change that I've noticed. And us as baseball fans and baseball players, we notice these little things when a player tweaks his batting stance a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And it can be the slightest thing, but we're seeing it. That's what I'm noticing with Christopher Morel, and just want to continue to see him just do great things. I don't think he should have been down in the first place this year, and I think the Cubs realize that, because he's coming. He's absolutely just been a spark plug for this lineup. So, I'm loving what I'm seeing out of it.
No, yeah, and you're right. I've noticed that too with the way that he has his hands, and I feel like a lot of those guys, like when you look at them, especially when they make little mechanical changes, is they're relaxed, and I think there it says a lot when you're up there relaxed with your hands, because
Yeah.
when you're relaxed, I feel like it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're relaxed, well, is it more of like you're quicker to move towards the ball or quicker with your hack, or what's the important part of being like having your hands relaxed from your side of it?
The stiffer your hands are as a hitter, the slower you're going to swing. Your
Mm,
body's tense. It's hard to do anything with a tense body. Baseball, swinging a bat is a twitch kind of thing.
mm,
It's hard to do anything just being very stiff. If you're loose, if you could do this, if you're able to do this while you're hitting, and you see him doing that, you see him loosening his shoulders. You see it with Swanson as well, and you can look at other hitters and you can tell when they're tense. Being as loose as you possibly can makes you quicker. You feel good. You're confident. Your body feels good. Everything about just being loose just gives you better results. Same thing with guys on the mound. And I think a good example with a pitcher is Marcus Stroman. You
mm.
see him taking a million deep breaths between every pitch, and taking his time with his windup. Staying loose is the biggest thing in the world in baseball. You gotta be loose. The more tight you are, your results will not be in your favor.
Yeah, and I think when I think about guys relaxed in the box, I always just think of guys like even like Chris Bryant, right? Like back in the day, like when he was in MVP form, like he had his hands right here, and it was just so
Shoulder, yeah,
relaxed. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So just chilling, and even like his hands would move sometimes, and it was just super relaxed, and that
yeah.
says a lot. But you mentioned it too. You said you don't understand, and it's the question everyone's been asking for the past like couple of weeks is why was this guy in the minors for so long this year? But Jed Hoyer talked, I believe it was 670 the score in the last couple of days,
Mm,
and he talked about how the one of the main reasons of why he was down there was his strikeout rate and his on base percentage, and they wanted
mm,
him to work on stuff.
yeah,
But
makes
the
sense.
counter, and yeah, that it does make sense. But I would say the counter to that, or the opposition to that, is I would say is in the position the Cubs are in. Why not work on it up here? Right?
Yeah,
Like where the Cubs are at, right? It's like, what's the point of working on it in AAA when he could play up here? But I think my thoughts on why he's, and I don't know if I've said it here, but my thoughts on why he was down there, what my at least my thoughts on it, what I would think they put him down there for, was because you have guys like Wisdom, and maybe they thought that Wisdom wasn't, maybe they thought, hey, Wisdom doesn't play that good in April. They bring up Morel, or like he has a couple cold weeks. They didn't, or maybe they didn't. I don't think they expected Wisdom to go off like he did in the month of April, right? Hit like 10
yeah,
bombs in that month. So
yeah,
I thought maybe they were like, hey, like for example with Hosmer, right? we talked about it on here before, and we said he's probably going to get DFA'd May,
Yep.
June, whatever. He did,
Mm-hmm.
and then Mervis came up. So it was one of those things where like they were waiting to do that. And with this one is it's a little more, I guess, of a question as to like why they took so long. But hey, what, what? At the end of the day, he's here now, and he's going to help the Cubs win a lot of games, and definitely be a big part of that. But another thing too is the lineup construction has been just we've talked about on here of where to put guys where. Nico, of course,
Yeah.
had been out. He's back now, which is good to see. He's
Yep.
obviously we've seen his impact instantly, from the game in Philly. But I mean, what do you think about Morel batting sixth, seventh, eighth, nine? Like not even like today. I believe today he's batting fifth or sixth. But I
Yeah.
mean, man, even as we record this on a Wednesday, the Cubs are facing the Mets. Miles Mastromboni was batting second. So I don't really understand that
See,
whatsoever. But yeah, what do you think about the lineup construction lately?
I this is what irritates me about how they do things sometimes, and
Mhm,
I think Mashaboni is a very good on base guy, and I think he's
mhm,
actually pretty quick from what I can understand. Um, I'm looking at this lineup as we're talking, and I think so. Here's what I'm understanding. Here's what I'm speculating is sometimes when you are lower in the lineup, there is a hell of a lot less pressure on you.
mhm,
You're kind of more just going up there for some hitters, and you see with Mervis as well,
mhm,
where he's hitting the lineup tonight. There's definitely strategy to that because the lower you are in the lineup, you do feel less pressure. You're just as important as any other guy in the lineup. Um, but there is a little bit less pressure. There is a little bit more of kind of just go up there, do what you can, get on base however you can get on base, compared to the 1 through 5 guys where there's a the reason why they are the 1 through 5 guys is because their job specifically they have to get on the the the, the intent with them getting on base is a little bit more high strong compared to
mhm,
guys a little bit lower in the lineup. Not saying that anyone is more or less than anyone in the lineup, but what's important is that someone like Swanson in the spot or Hap in the fourth spot. Hap is in that position because we don't know if Horner, Mascheroni, or Swanson are going to be on base, and then Hap clears the bases, however, or drives in two.
mhm.
Um, so there's a lot of strategy that goes into that. And for guys who are a little bit lower in the lineup, is more of just the hey, go up there and just do your thing. Don't even think about that. Just get on
Mhm.
base, however. Whatever scenario is, it doesn't matter. Just get on base. You may not see as many competitive pitches. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense, especially when you got young guys who probably want to have them as relaxed as
yeah,
possible,
exactly. Yeah.
contributing to the fact that he is, his hands are relaxed in the box nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it. I mean, look, at the end of the day, as long as he's in the lineup every day, I can't complain too much. Just because you want him there, and especially with Mervis. Mervis he hasn't obviously played as well as we expected him to or wished for. But even him in the spot that he's in now, I'm fine with that as of right now because, as you said, less pressure for he could work out the kinks, all that
Yep.
stuff right
Yep.
now, and he's playing a little better, man. I mean, he's barreling up the ball a little more. He hit an apple homer, in the opener against the Mets.
Yep.
And he hit a rocket for an out today, 106 miles an hour. So yeah, he's looking a little better. And that's what you like to see, and that's what we talked about. You get guys like that can develop up here as well. And then
Mm-hmm.
you got a guy like Justin Steele as well, who is one of the league leaders in WAR on both Baseball Reference. I believe in Baseball Reference he might be second. Fangraphs he's in the top 10, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's insane, man. These guys are playing really good individually. It's just more about bringing everything together. And we've talked
Exactly.
about it before. It's been the bullpen problems. It's been that, but
Mm-hmm.
it could be. It still could. We could be in a worse position. I mean, this is a team that their division is not great. They're not playing great baseball, but
Mm-hmm.
that playoff spot as we speak right now is still attainable. So I think that's what I mean. Even Jed Hoyer talked me some of the comments that he made were blaming himself for the the lack of success from the bullpen side, and it is what it is. He's saying that I get it. They but that's the Cubs' way kind of the last few years. They haven't really tried to get bullpen arms. They've kind of more tried to
Mm-hmm.
develop them, and it hasn't worked out that great. I mean, they've got guys like Brandon Hughes that have done well. Keegan Thompson has not been
Yeah.
himself this year, but we've seen him be good and play well. And you know, Albert Alzola, you know, they kind of made him into a reliever. He's been okay. But yeah,
Yep.
they obviously are still lacking guys like a Cody Hoyer who's going to come back soon, and
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, you know, and that's the thing with how close they are, and just you know they need just a few things right, and you know if they could add a couple bullpen pieces, if they're still in the race in come July or August, they add a couple bullpen pieces. I mean, you never know, because
Yeah.
their starters obviously pitching well. I mean, right? It's like every day you're sitting there and you're just thinking every day you get a chance to win with this starter on the mound, right? You know, Drew
Yeah.
Smiley's killing it, Steele, like Stroman, like even look, Tyone struggled a little bit, but even then, you know, with his injuries, and some people suspect he might be still injured because of this, you know, the lack of success finding the strike zone. So I don't know what have you seen from him? You think he's injured or what is it? You know, with his command because he definitely this isn't the pitcher he's been right like the pitcher he is right now. He hasn't been in the last couple of years. He's had more success before.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's a comfortability thing. I don't know
Mm,
what the case is when it comes to that, but these kind of things are can definitely be very alerting. Because I also haven't like really seen like a mechanical change as
mm,
well. Um, so I hope it is not an injury. I hope this is more of
mm,
a kind of trying to adjust to a little bit of a new setting going on, and new teammates. There's a lot of change going on within the Cubs right now. A lot of finding this identity. Who's our guy pitching wise? Who's not? Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to think about.
yeah, and I think hopefully he's able to figure it out. If not, they go to the IL. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
disappointed in that as long as you know he works it out. And I mean, there's the thing too is that you got you know Hendricks coming back soon. He's gonna make
Mm-hmm.
his start, I believe, sometime soon. And you know even if when Wisniewski has to make a couple more starts, I don't think anybody would be disappointed in that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully the Cubs are able to find it. And I mean, they're you know like I said today, coming into the day, 21-26. They got 3 games against Cincinnati, then 3 games against Tampa Bay next week. That'll be fascinating to see Randy Rosarena come into Wrigley Field
Be
and
fun.
play the
Yeah.
Cubs. Yeah, because I mean those guys are killing it, man. The best team in baseball for a reason, and you know they're just
Even though
doing work
they
down
got
there.
slapped around the other day. Goodness
Oh yeah,
gracious.
what was it, 20-1 or something like that? 20-1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah, the
god.
Jays, yeah. And look, hey, it's a confidence booster. We talked about the Jays, I believe it was last week or a couple weeks ago, but the Jays, they need some kind of confidence boost because they've been getting
Yeah. Yeah.
battered around by either the Orioles, whether it be the Orioles, the Yankees, the Red Sox. So yeah, they need some kind of confidence boost in that division. That's just a Goliath of a division. I mean, that's just man,
Crazy.
like it. Every team there has a run differential above 10. And you know, we talked about it off air before coming on. I mean, the Yankees are red hot now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the Rays come into Wrigley and take on the Cubs because that's the class of Major League Baseball right now. And to see how the Cubs stack up, I know that I believe in that pitching or that sorry those pitching matchups, I believe Steele is going in that one, so it'd be cool to see against a guy like that go up against you know the league's best. So
Yeah.
hopefully the Cubs can steal some wins, especially when you got the Reds coming in this weekend. We got Cubs are going to face Hunter Grain, so that's going to be cool to see as well. And you know, hopefully they can get some wins, man. Moving on to the South Side, where the White Sox are hot, dude, which is crazy to say because I feel like every time we come into this show this year, it has been just pure negativity on the Sox because there hasn't been much to look, you know, much to talk about in a positive manner, man. And now this
Yeah.
is it. This is what you've been talking about, Miles. This is what you've been talking on the Sox getting hot. You know, they
Yeah.
won 7 of the last 10, and they've won 3 straight series. You know,
Yeah.
Luis Robert, who's been one of the hottest players in baseball in the month of May. He's got a 1562 OPS in May, 13 homers. Unfortunately, he's day to day right now with right hip tightness. But I will say this: for as much as the White Sox have bad luck on the injury side, you know, it's not so bad to hear day to day. So hopefully that works out. But from you know off the top, like what have you seen from the White Sox over the last few series, or in general that you've seen? Whether do you think it's more the pitching? Do you think it's the hitting coming together? You know, Tim Anderson hasn't been himself just yet, but the guys have been
Yeah.
picking him up. I mean, you got Jake Berger still launching those double cheese bombs. So yeah,
Yeah.
what have you seen on the White Sox over the last couple of weeks, man?
Some amazing pitching.
Hmm.
Amazing pitching and kind of this timely hitting and really the hitting has not been blowing anyone out of the water per
Hmm.
se. Even when you look at like the scores of the Royals series, the Sox were blowing them out per se.
Hmm.
But it's a lot of timely hitting and the pitchers are doing their job. Specifically, even when I look at that Lance Lynn start against Kansas City on Sunday, it was a great start. It was a great quality start. And he got the win, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he got the win,
Hmm.
and just very, very good pitching overall. The arms have been doing a really good job of keeping them in the game, or the Sox taking the lead, and then pretty much that being it. Michael Kopech, goodness gracious, he's just been on a tear, and I think this is one thing that the Sox fans have been waiting for is healthy Michael Kopech coming in here and kind of being the guy that we all thought that he would be, and the past two starts alone have just been that. There's no one touching him. So great job by the Sox on that part. And I said it. You don't let the Royals come into town and take care of you. No, you take care of them and still give yourself a chance. This season for the White Sox can really turn around at any moment. Um, and I think they're starting to show that they are a good baseball team, and they gave the Guardians the business today. That momentum alone can take them a very, very long way. If I'm not mistaken, what the Twins have 26 wins, the White Sox have 21 right now.
Hmm.
I could be off with that,
No, you're
but
right. You're right.
dude, it's right there. It's no one's running
Hmm.
away with this division. The Sox has got to keep on it with this momentum that they have. They're right there, man. They're right there. Sox fans, don't give up. You're fine. Jeez, it was an ugly start. It was a terrible start, but you were never out of it. It was just it was an ugly start.
You're right. And look, I'm not sure if even Sox fans would say that, look, this team could come back, win the World Series, but even, hey, make the postseason, that would still be a positive. But I will say this is positivity because, remember that Nationals team that won the World Series in 2019, their
Mm-hmm.
record, I believe in May was 21-32.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sox sit right now at 21-30. So you really truly never know. And especially, one thing I was gonna say is you're right. You can't take this crap from the Guardians or the Royals. And yeah, that's who they beat, man. They beat teams in their division. And we talked about it
Yeah.
before these series started, right? We made a point before these series started. We said they got a stretch where they're playing the Guardians, Royals, Guardians, Tigers. And look, they're not great ball clubs. All those ball clubs are not great. But the point is that you got to beat your division rivals, and they're doing that. And
Yeah.
they got a big series now coming up over the weekend against the Tigers, who have been playing well over the last month, and that will
Yeah.
be another confidence boost. You got Giolito going on Thursday, Lance Lynn on Friday, so yeah, it'll be another test for the Sox. And that's the thing too, is that besides this stretch of they're playing AL Central teams, they're going to play Otani and Trout at home next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but overall, seven of their next 10 games are against Detroit, so more division play. So you got to take advantage of those in division games because they're going to matter, overall to that, to that divisional battle. And yeah, I mean, just
Yeah.
five, dude. They're five and a half games back of the first place Twins, who continue to be inconsistent when it comes to getting wins and being consistent there and just playing overall great ball plus
Mm-hmm.
45 run differential. But it just shows how crazy and wild the AL Central is, the Central in general, right? Because even in the NL, the Cubs are sitting 5 games under 500, but they're 5 games back of the first place Brewers. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just the Central is caused such a whirlwind in Major League Baseball that a lot of people are like, man, we need it. It's such a like it's just the opposite of the AL East, right? Because the AL East, you got 5 teams that are vying for a playoff spot. Then you got the Centrals, where you really just got probably 2 teams vying for a playoff
I
spot
like
there.
that it makes it kind of unpredictable, like in a
You're
sense
right.
where,
You're right.
and also the concept almost isn't as different as when you look at like the division, like the AL or NL East.
Hmm.
Any of those teams can take it.
Hmm.
This is the same exact thing with the AL and NL. Any of these teams can take it. So there's like ways how we can look at it. Maybe some of the baseball isn't as top tier, But these teams that we're seeing that are considered the bottom of the barrel, the MLB,
Hmm.
number one, I said it, they're young. This is this is one of the youngest divisions in baseball when it comes to the NL. There's
Hmm.
plenty of guys who can come up in like maybe 3-4 years, and all of a sudden it's going to be the central for both sides that are great.
No, yeah,
It,
you're
it,
right.
yeah. I think it just depends on how people look at it. What exactly, what kind of competitive baseball intrigues you? Because to
Hmm.
me, this is still very intriguing. The fact that any of these teams can run away with it.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's probably the the positive of that is the fact that there's so much parity in that division that you never know what's going to happen. And that
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's how it's going to be the whole season long. Hopefully, both of these Chicago teams are able to hop up, and get to the top though. But yeah, we've seen guys like you talked about a Kopech who's pitching better. Lance pitching better. Man, so is Dylan Cease, the ace, right? Guy
yeah,
who finished second in AL Cy Young voting last year. He's pitching a whole lot better. He says he feels a lot better, and he feels really close to what he was last year. He has 3 runs. He has given up 3 runs or less in his last 3 starts. Same with Kopech. Kopech has 3 of his 4 starts this month have been allowing 2 runs or less. So yeah, dude, all around. And then you got guys like quietly Yasmani Grandal. As much as you said the hitting hasn't
mm-hmm.
been there fully, it's true. They haven't been all consistent, right? But Grandal and Robert Jr. have been great, and Grandal has a 1161 OPS in his last 15. He had a home run as part of the Sox comeback on Tuesday, so
Yeah,
that's good to see. On that end, Tim, like I said, Tim Anderson, he, despite having a 685 OPS to start, his season, or excuse me, since his, he's been cold since his return. He
yeah,
still says, "quote He feels like he's the best player on the field." So the
good.
confidence is not way whatsoever with Tim Anderson. Hopefully, he's able to turn around. And man, another thing I want to talk about is their bullpen. Their bullpen's been on fire. This is the thing that was one of their Achilles heels in April. You got Joe Kelly, who's just finding his way, man. He found his way back in this month. He had a rough April, but he's got 10 2/3 scoreless innings. And that's following a 7.71 ERA in April. So that's good to see from him. Kendall Graveman also, a lot of people haven't been talking about it. 9 scoreless innings. And then also, with them needing a lefty presence, man, you got Garrett Crochet who's coming back now and being that presence because Aaron
Yeah,
Bummer hasn't done that. But and we've talked about it before with their bullpen. I mean, they have obviously they had Middleton who was doing well, while all these guys were kind of finding their way. But
yeah.
how much can that Sox bullpen help them out, especially in these dog days as we're nearing the dog days of the summer, right? How big can a guy like Joe Kelly be, man, coming back and finally getting some scoreless innings?
Dude, it can truly, because the White Sox have already been doing what they're supposed to do, as we talked about. This just is just like the icing on top of the cake. The starting pitching has been incredible. The bullpen continues to support the starting pitching, making this team a very, very hard team to hit against. You continue to put that together, and they continue to play like this, and maybe deciding on what they want to do. You make a couple of moves by the trade deadline. This is going to be a good. They have the potential of being a completely different team, even as soon as like end of June. So it changes everything for them, because now we're starting to see them really come together as a team. So a lot of good things can happen if the bullpen continues to grow and support that starting pitching, because the hitting has been timely, but also has not been blowing anyone out of the water, as you see with Tim Anderson, who isn't quite there yet, and his ability isn't any different than what has been. Just some years you just get off to a colder start than another. If I'm a Sox fan, I'd much rather have Tim get off to a colder start now and then heat up when it's time to really heat up. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with
Mm-hmm.
that with players from the Cubs or any other team. Just because a player doesn't start off hot, that does not make him any less of a
Mm-hmm.
good ball player than anyone on the field. In a lot of cases, that's going to motivate this guy to continue to work outside of it. And then all of a sudden, what he's in 330 the second half of the season, and he's the deal, and he's the difference maker. Tim Anderson is an example of why right now it is important for the bullpen to support the offense as much as you can, because they are slowly heating up, and it is going to make a difference for the White Sox.
No, yeah, you're right, man. And like you have guys like even Schultens who came in the other day in a
Hmm.
albeit a loss, 3-0, but he came in and pitched 5 innings, allowing 1 run and 2 hits. So Sox are getting
Yeah,
contributions from all over the place. And you're right, dude. Like that's one of the things I love about baseball, right? Is that you get into the playoffs, you get into October, and you have guys like Leury Garcia hitting clutch home runs, guys that are utility guys that didn't have great years, but they're getting up here, they're coming up in the big spots, and they're getting it done. That's what I love about baseball. It doesn't matter who you
yeah,
are. I mean, look, you had the Cubs in 2016. Chris Coghlan was getting hits in the playoffs. So look, it is what
yeah,
it is what it is, and it's like a lot of these guys, you rather them as you said, rather than get hot in the important parts than not get hot at all. So
exactly.
that's what and Tim Anderson I think will be fine. I think he's the type of guy that is running into some bad luck because he always hits the ball hard. So as long as he just starts finding some gaps, he'll be fine. And the Sox will
Yeah,
continue to do this. But yeah, they're on a roll, man. And like I said, looking ahead, they got that series against Detroit. Then they come back home and take on the Angels. Is going to be, the
yeah,
Angels are playing a lot better now. With of course Otani and Trout running on all cylinders. And
even
they
better.
they
Yeah,
got
damn
yeah,
it.
yeah, and yeah, I know, right? And they got Moniak, the rookie, coming up and just getting some big hits. So yeah, a lot of teams are playing good baseball right now. It is, I am going to be interested in seeing that. Not only cool to see Comerica for the first time, but just seeing the Tigers have just been playing a little better over the last month or so. Even though Javi hasn't been that guy again, man. 636 OPS. I was looking at his numbers earlier, and I'm like, man, even though they've in the last month have improved, he hasn't been necessarily the key cog there because he just continues to not hit. But they still have guys like Riley Green and guys like young guys like Spencer Torkelson are still kind of finding their
Hmm.
way, kind of
Yeah.
finding their footing. But it's another young team that it'll be something to see how the Sox kind of react to that.
Oh yeah.
But kind of moving on to the final part of the episode here. There were a couple things I wanted to talk about. I know we kind of mentioned it before, but Aaron Judge and the Yankees are heating up. They got 5 wins in a row. And in your opinion, do you see the Yankees as still that team, or we talked about in the season preview of who we thought would win the division and all that, and like I said, I don't think anyone really thought the Rays were going to win the division there, but they're looking like it there. But do you think 5 games back, man, they're getting Stanton, Judge is red hot, Volpe's hitting homers too? Like, do you still see the Yankees as a threat in the East, or would you be comfortable right now to put your money on the Rays still winning that division as of May 24th?
I think it's going to be a little bit of a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Rays got off in a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
The Yankees kind of started in a more of like a sprinting jog. Um, so when you start off in a sprint, sometimes you're going to get a little bit tired.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really think it's going to be, and specifically, I do believe it's actually going to be the Yankees, Orioles, and the Rays that are going to kind
Mm-hmm.
of be going, kind of intertwining, and even still, like the Red Sox have been
Yeah.
keeping their themselves in the conversation too a little bit. So no, I do believe that it for the most part it will be the Yankees and the Rays kind of back and forth when it comes to this. The Rays just play baseball that is just fun and solid, and everything they do is just great. The Yankees are historically this ball club, just they're going to find a way. And they're not only just going to find a way, they're going to be right in your face the entire time. So I really think it can go either way. I really do believe that it can go either way. I do not see the Yankees being anything less than second place. And that's no offense to the Orioles at all. The Orioles are going to continuously grow each year. I just do not believe that they have surpassed the Yankees, but I believe they will at some point down the line. But it's going to be a cool race going into September between these teams. I couldn't pick one now if I wanted to, but those Yankees and Rays games are going to get heated even more as we progress throughout this season. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's dude. Like, I'm just salivating thinking about those September matchups in the AL East is gonna
Oh
be
my
they're gonna be
gosh.
crazy,
Give me a
and
little bench clearing, a little chirping, all of it, because the emotions are coming out. They know what's on the line, and it's just you love to see that from guys because
yeah,
you know how much they care. That's why they're reacting
mhm,
like that. That's why your teammates get mad when you see someone miss high and in because you knock out our main guy, that impacts our season. Nothing happens to you. It's it's great. It's great
I
baseball.
know,
I love
yeah.
September baseball because the emotions and you really know how much guys care about this coming up. So that's why I look forward to seeing these two teams continue to do what they're doing, and same thing with the Orioles too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and if they're getting like that in May, imagine that in September. So that's
Oh my
you know what I mean.
goodness.
Like especially the Jays and Yankees stuff there is so entertaining. But no, you're
Yeah.
right, and like I definitely see this being a 3-team race with the Orioles, Rays, and Yankees. You're right. I'm on the same boat because you look at this Red Sox team and they're getting carried by their offense. Their offense has been great with
Mm-hmm.
Devers, Verdugo, and Masataka Yoshida.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing work. They've been killing it, but their pitching I don't think has been there, so I don't think they'll be able to survive in that division all season long.
Yeah.
I think for sure they're probably going to be one of the teams finishing fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
On the other, also I'm as we talked about before, the Jays have they have a great team, they have a great young team, but they've gotten battered around by the AL East, and it hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
working out for them as of right now. I think in the long run that might affect them. Could they sneak in a wild card spot? Yes, but it'll be tough to get past the Yankees. It'll be tough to get past even the Orioles, man. The Orioles putting it together. Got Kyle
Yeah,
Gibson
man.
as their ace right now. And then think about it this way. Orioles keep going like this. They might go out there and get somebody. Hey, if the Cubs are Cubs fall out of contention, Bellinger to the Orioles. You never know, right? If the White Sox fall out of contention, Giolito could go to the Orioles. Like all these things could happen where the Orioles could get a guy, and you never know. So
And
that's
they've
it's
never been in that position to get a guy over the
yeah,
past few
exactly.
years.
You're right.
They are one scary trade away
Yeah.
from really making it very difficult for the Yankees
Mm-hmm.
and the Rays. I
Yeah.
100% agree.
Yeah, so that's why I think that's going to make the September even better, man. So
Yeah.
so for me as of right now, I still have it be the Rays, Orioles, and Yankees that are going to be the top three.
Mm-hmm.
And some
Yeah.
teams got to get left behind. And for me as of right now, it's the Red Sox and Jays. But
Yeah.
I could totally see the Jays flipping it around and getting it done. So we'll see. That's the best part of it, right? Is that even with the worst division, the best divisions, you don't know who to pick.
Yeah.
Speaking of another division, as we close things out here, there were some comments that Nathaniel Lowe came out and said about the Rangers, saying that the West is ours, said, quote, ours. And he, look, I'll give him this. It technically is theirs as of right now, right? Because they're
Yeah.
3 games ahead of the Astros. They're sit first place, 31-18. With the best run differential in the American League at
Mm-hmm.
plus 112, and it's actually best in baseball now that I look at it. So yeah, what do you think about those comments? Is it one of those things where it's just like, yo, chill out, my boy? Because I mean, it's barely May. Or do you like the confidence? Is that something you would like your teammates saying this early in the season? Like, how do you feel about guys talking like that right now?
It's a marathon, not a sprint. It's I'm too me personally, I'm too like superstitious in just I don't we're very early in the year. Just be careful, homie. That's all I gotta say. Ride slow because the Astros are heating up. The
Mm-hmm.
Astros are heating up, and you also saw the 2 best players in baseball on the same team in your division, homie. Um, y'all just got good this year.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Just be careful. Just be careful because I respect the confidence. I like it. You go ahead and ruffle some feathers, but I would just be careful when you face the other team in Texas because I think that's a team when if you get them fired up, as soon as they get hot, they are impossible to
Mm-hmm.
get rid of. They're impossible. Just be careful, man. It's a good confidence that you got. I mean, aside from the Oakland A's, just be careful. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
you're
a
right. And
very brave thing to say.
yeah, and we saw firsthand, right? We saw with the Astros how good they've gotten and how hot they're getting, right? It's like,
Yeah.
a guy with or a team with Jordan Alvarez and like Bregman, dude, like you cannot
You
sleep
got
on that team
Abreu,
whatsoever.
Altuve,
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker. Relax, bro. But hey, go ahead. Go ahead. If those words come back to eat him later on in the year, don't say people didn't tell you so. If I'm his teammate, I'm like, bro, easy. I mean, talk to me in like August, and we're like 10
Yeah.
games up, maybe. But just Relax.
Exactly. No, you're right, and that's what I'm thinking too. Is like I like the confidence, but maybe you got to chill because the Rangers are barely starting to get on like that trajectory. They're barely going up on the mountain, right? Getting that trajectory to go upwards. And yeah, look, their future seems pretty bright there, but
Oh
you
yeah,
gotta relax. You never know what's gonna happen, especially in a clogged AL, where like we talked about. Hey, you never know in the sense of how many teams are gonna come out of your division, and you never know. You bite yourself, but you bite your tongue, and in September when you're 5 games back of a wild card spot, and the
yeah.
AL West only has the Astros coming out of it. So, yeah, it'll be a fun race though. I'm telling you that right now because that'll put an extra a little bit of extra sauce in that series between the Astros and the Rangers. A little more theatrics there. You never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a good place to wrap things up for this edition of the At Bat Podcast. Of course, check out all our other shows on War Media with Open Run. We got another Bears recap coming out next week. Check out, of course, any other shows that we have going on. Sometimes we have the Fandemonium episodes with Kyle Means and all that. And of course, check out our Substack. So for the 50th episode of the At Bat Podcast, Saul Rodriguez, Miles Porter. Hope everyone has a good one, and we'll see you next week.